All right. What is going on? We got some lag. I think I got some stuff figured out. I want to get a shout out to my cousin Vinny Tovar, my homie Lou Dog CS coming in through Clutch, hooking it up, showing me the settings on this system that I'm using. The lag is going to be for my shitty laptop, so you're going to have to put up with that until I figure something out. But it's Friday, first Friday of January 2025, and holy shit, crazy couple three, crazy three couple of days to start the year. That fucking attack, man, that is not panning out. I think how whoever thought of it was going to go. The FBI is tripping over their own feet. There's a lot of people from both attacks, from the Cybertruck attack and the Bourbon Street attack. There's family members and close, I guess, associates of both both people, um, and they're not talking to the mainstream media. Is what's crazy. I don't want to get into too much of that. Like I said, the FBI is they're going back and forth on all kinds of shit. But if you're really interested, I would recommend taking a look at the Sean Ryan podcast. He put one out, I think it was today. In some, he shared some stuff that I wouldn't call it bullshit just yet. Um, that's just my 2 cents on that. I'm gonna leave that alone for now because that's gonna get crazy. But I do want to go back to talking about that H-1B issue that is going on between everybody right now. Democrats, Republicans, MAGA, the MAGA tech bros. There's all kinds of infighting everywhere um, with this situation. One thing I saw that was interesting is if you pay attention to, I guess, like podcasts and I guess this newer type of media. There's this one podcast called the Benjamin Pat Benjamin David podcast, the PBD podcast, and it's a pretty conservative, um, right wing business type of podcast. Um, During the presidential campaigns, they gained a lot of popularity. Um, I was listening to them before. They had interesting guests and some interesting viewpoints. They weren't too heavy into politics until they just started, I guess, getting attention from Trump and some of his people. So they're super popular right now with the right wing audience. Um, I Something popped up in my algorithms. That's one thing with these algorithms. Don't be afraid of them. If you know what you're doing, you could stumble upon some stuff that you'll find interesting. So I found this interesting. I was watching some of that podcast. It came out yesterday or the day before. Um, they're actually talking about the H-1B issues right now. And this first video that I'm going to show you, they're talking about Elon Musk, and they're all for the H-1B um, proposals that are going on right now with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. They're on board with it, but I'll just let them speak. These guys, a lot of these guys are immigrants. Again, it's the PBD podcast. If you want to look into who these guys are, I think most of them are not most of them. I know there's at least two that I think either second or third immigrants, and I believe from Iraq, Iran. I mean, and I'm not too sure exactly where else. Um, but it's interesting to hear their perspective and where they, as Trump supporters and right wingers, take the conversation. So let me see if I could load this up. Um, and again, if I'm lagging, just put up with it for a little bit. This is a long video, and I'll try to talk it through while it's playing. Here we go.
The deeper we get in, this is a problem. This chart here that Brandon found shows the most popular college majors, and they've changed from 2016 to 2023. Like, kids are going to college, parents are telling their kids, go get this degree. Number 1 is business, 2 is nursing, 3 is education, 4 is biology. You know what 5 is that's climbed up to 3? Psychology is the number 3 major now. You know, engineering used to be 6th place in 2016. You know where it's at now? It's at 9th place. Why would you tell your kids to not become engineers? Right there, look at that. The chart, it's dropped. Zoom in a little bit, Rob, so we can see the majors on the left. You see how psychology, the purple from 5th place goes to 3rd place? Keep going lower. Engineering drops.
So he's just
on the left, Rob, if you can,
describing the,
if you go
I guess, the
and look at
demand
the
for the
left, you'll see
degrees.
engineering was 6th. See the dark purple?
The demand for the
Drop
jobs
down
that
to
are
9th
degree
place.
specific.
Criminal justice stays around the same place. Computer science stays around the same place. Accounting, computing stays around the same place. Now, if you go and look at STEM, countries against U.S. Rob, if you can pull up this other chart, how we rank against other countries in STEM. Keep going up, the other way, Rob, the other way, yeah. Keep going, 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 keep going. Right there. Zoom into the top one, Look at that. Top countries of STEM numbers by graduates. China, 3.57 million. India, 2.55. We're 3rd place, 820. Now go to the one above it that shows percentage-wise. Above it, Rob. Above it, yeah. Look at this here. Percentage of graduates that are STEM. China, 41% of their graduates are in STEM. Russia's 37, Germany's 36, Iran's 33, India's 30% because of their IIT, France 26, Mexico 26. Look at us. And we want to compete? I mean, this is, and by the way, a part of this, to me, is like when you think about when Dallas Mavericks bring Dirk Nowitzki or Luka or Giannis or all these players that are coming from the European system here, and Kobe would always bash the AAU system in the States. And he came from the Italian, you know, he played, he learned how to play basketball, the fundamentals in Europe. Why do they translate from that league?
I think this is a false equivalency right here. I wouldn't compare bringing over
yes, keep the jobs in America.
athletes
Yes, give the jobs to American
to the
graduates.
NBA.
Yes, make it competitive
I
here.
wouldn't compare them
And
to
if some of these guys are coming here that are the
regular
smartest people,
people.
why not keep them? Why not recognize them? Why not respect the fact that they create jobs? One of the tweets, I said, our founding fathers, a guy responds back and says,
Right here.
those are not your founding fathers. Guy posts a picture of the Shah of Iran, says, that's your founding father. But that tells you what, you know, a part of this, there's nationalists and there's white nationalists. White nationalists, Vinny, don't want people like us here. They just don't. White nationalists are a very different model, and they can have that argument, but this got very ugly very quick.
Yeah, no, you're spot on with the white nationalist thing. So what I'm concerned about
So this is them
you
saying
made
that.
an amazing tweet because
They
your
just
prediction
say
has
that.
basically come true. What they're doing to basically divide and conquer Trump versus Elon. That's what I'm focused
And where
on,
they
right?
go
In
from
terms
here,
of
it kind of seems like they try to
it's sort of what-
blame it on the
you've seen the comments
Democrats.
that are
They
being
try to
made
shift the
by
blame
Steve Bannon and
instead
Stephen
of
Miller. They're sort of it's
What do you think,
recognizing the
Ryan?
actual
here's what I'm
issue.
thinking.
And
Can I
I don't
read the
think
tweet to
the
be honest?
issue
Yeah,
is
please do.
racism at all. I just
So
think
here's what
that
Steve Bannon
this
said. Steve Bannon
this
said,
H-1B program, I just think
let
it's
me be
not good
clear
for
on
Americans at
H-1B.
all.
I want zero. The whole thing is about, oh, they're only geniuses, H-1B visas. That's not what it's about. It's about making American jobs and bringing over essentially what have become indentured servants at lower wages, the things a scam by the oligarchs in Silicon Valley to basically take jobs from American citizens, give them to what become indentured servants from foreign countries and pay them less. Simple. That's what he says.
And I kind of agree with
and he
that.
does have a point right there. There is a point to basically what's happening with these guys with these H-1B
That was
visas.
Steve
You
Bannon
said,
that I think he was
you know,
quoting.
you can pay them less versus an American.
Oh, yeah.
By the
he
way,
was definitely happy.
By the way, I know people who basically outsource jobs and say, well, I can pay an American worker here $30 an hour. I can pay some guy in the Philippines or in India $4 an hour. So it works both ways. But what's happening with
Right
with
here,
MAGA,
it sounds like
MAGA
he
versus
catches
bust,
himself.
It's sort of like MAGA 1.0 versus MAGA 2.0. Who's MAGA 1.0?
Understands why the
guys that have been
H-1B
there
is
10
flawed
years
for
versus the
Americans.
people that have been there basically 10 months. So you have the nationalists that you talked about right there. So you have the working class people the America first, that want to put America first. They're sort of the populists. They're the protectionists. You might almost say isolationists. MAGA 2.0, the people that have basically been there for 10 months versus 10 years. These are honestly former liberals, some of them. They're tech people. A lot of them are billionaires. They're the elites. They're a different form of MAGA. So the interesting thing here is when you do politics, do you want to have a big tent party? Hey, we need your votes. We need your votes. We need your votes. Okay, we got your votes. And now you're like, yeah, get the hell out of here. Hold on, I'm sorry. You don't want Elon Musk? You don't want Vivek? Elon Musk gave how much money to Trump? $200 billion? All of a sudden, he's the bad guy?
A lot of money.
So this conversation that's being had needs to happen,
yeah.
no doubt.
I would
By the
say
way,
Elon
Trump
Musk
hasn't
is
even
now the
assumed
bad
office
guy.
yet. It's crazy because, they say that the way that you campaign is different than how you govern. When you campaign, you made broad, just sort of out there, outlandish comments.
He's saying it.
But when you govern, you actually have to do some nuanced debates. But as we always say, FTM, follow the money. Speaking of, you read a stat out there. What percentage of the H-1B visas are Indians?
75%.
Okay, so it's basically Indians.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
That's
So
100%.
follow the money, GDP per capita. What's the GDP per capita in India? In India, they're number 120 in the world. The average Indian makes $8,400 a year. Okay, that's from 2023. So my stat says that's what it says, 2,400. I see 8,400. I don't fact check that. America, $76,000 a year, GDP per capita. Either way, if you're working in America, you're making so much more than you're going to make in India. And by the way, what do you think the people do
Well, what
when
was
they
your
make
point
this
with
money?
what you just said? So,
So-
what's your point there? Are you
So
saying
even if you're suppressing their wages,
Yeah.
which is not fun, okay, there it is right there, 7,000. Even if you're suppressing their wages, they're making 10x what they'd be making in India. So they have a choices to make. They don't have to come here, right? But there's also
I don't
another
think he
thing.
are you
realizes what he's
saying
saying.
that because you're saying, the opportunity to live in India is not as good as here, and that's why
It's not even close.
no, meaning, so Indians are going to school there, but they're wanting to come to America here. The dream for them is to come here.
Who doesn't want to come to America?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to come to America? I love the analogy that you used, the restaurant analogy.
I mean, they kind of go back and forth right there. To me, it sounds like they just realized what they're doing, and the HB1 does. To me, it feels like they're just, I guess, benefiting off the financial struggles and difficulties of people in other countries. And and the way they want to tie it to racism, to me, is they kind of lose credibility with me on there. If they can't explain it to me why it's racist, then they're gonna have a lot of trouble explaining that to the people that they help vote for Donald Trump. Here's another video, the same podcast, and they get a little bit more into what they were alluding to.
And hundreds of other companies that America strong because of H-1B. Take a big step back and go F yourself. That's from
In the face.
movie, what is
Tropic
it?
Thunder.
Tropic
I will
Thunder.
go to war on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend. Okay.
That was a quote from, I think, Les Grossman.
Yeah.
Never go full
But
retail.
but you know why he's saying that? I mean, he came here on one.
Yeah.
So to him, that's personal. That's a success story.
He's talking about
Now,
Elon Musk.
to somebody who was born here and they're white and they were raised in a certain way where they're white nationalists, okay, you view me as go back to Iran, deport Elon back to, what do you call it, South Africa, deport Vivek back to India,
His
right?
parents.
And
He was
you,
born
you
here.
make those types of comments. All right, I don't think that's majority of America. I think that's less than 5%
No, that is the far
of
right,
America. Yeah, that's the far right.
ultra-nationalist.
And that's the far right. And the far left wants open borders and let everybody come in here. Let's legalize everyone. The far right wants, if you're not a white nationalist, get the hell out of here. The problem here is you as a consumer not knowing the position of the individual before they say it, and you think everyone is in that position. They're not. Not everyone's in that position. So this is why it's caused a little bit of confusion. I'm reading a book right now by Robert Half about how recruiting firms were grown in the 80s. And one of the things he said, he said, he's the founder of Robert Half. His name is Robert Half. He wrote this book on HR. I don't know what the book's name is. It's actually really good. He explains how in the 70s, one of the things that happened in the 70s and 80s is the media, every time you would see somebody become a billionaire, everybody would say he made his billions by hurting someone. So the image was the only way you can get rich is by what? By hurting somebody. By telling you, scam artists, con artists, all this other stuff. Some of the words, I mean, a community notes section came up, Rob, if you can pull this up. I saw one on, they called
he
Vivek,
got a
scammer, con artist, they called, there's a bunch, but here's
It's
one
such
right
a
here.
lazy, weak
But put
argument.
this one up there right there on the tweet that I put up. Look at the bottom there. Patrick Bet-David made his money by founding a predatory multi-level marketing pyramid scheme, which he then used to market himself as a business guru on YouTube. He is essentially a scam artist. By the way, the community notes allowed that for a couple hours. Then it was taken down. Okay, that's the whole community notes concept. Wikipedia and community notes are somewhat similar. I know he launched, I actually like community notes, to be honest with you. The only thing you have to be careful with community notes is that now went everywhere. Hey, this is what it is. At the end of the day, you know how hard it is to build a national insurance agency dealing with regulators in every state. Tom was the president of the insurance
he's
company.
just trying to.
He's the CSO of it till today. You're dealing with every single agency.
He's
We pay
defending
taxes
himself.
and God knows how.
He's defending himself in his business and how he got his wealth. And he explains it right there. You know, there is a difference between, you know, a small business owner and somebody like the CEO of United Healthcare. There's differences, and I think those conversations need to be had. There's a line, and I don't know where it is, but I think those conversations need to be happening now. So what I found interesting, again, this has been a crazy 3 days. So Bernie Sanders, he came out with a statement. This is a pretty long statement, and I'm just going to go ahead and read it because Bernie's right. Bernie is right. And I've never voted for Bernie. I don't have an issue with the guy. I'm not a socialist. I'm not a communist. He's been consistent. Out of, I think, anybody who is in politics, I think he's been the most consistent out of anybody, Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever you want to call him. Let me put this up. This was a statement from Bernie Sanders. I hope you could read it. So this came out yesterday, January 2nd. Right here. There's been a lot of discussion lately about the H-1B guest worker program. Elon Musk and a number of other billionaire tech company owners have argued that this federal program is vital to our economy because of the scarcity of highly skilled American engineers and other tech workers. I disagree. This is still Bernie Sanders talking. So Bernie Sanders disagrees. The main function of the H-1B visa program and other guest worker initiatives is not to hire the best and brightest, but rather replace the good-paying American jobs with low-wage indentured servants from abroad. So I don't know if you know what's happening right now, but Bernie Sanders and Steve Bannon are actually agreeing right now. It goes on to say, the cheaper the labor they hire, the more money the billionaires make. In 2022 and 2023, the top 30 corporations using this program laid off at least 85,000 American workers while they hired over 35,000 new H-1B guest workers. There are estimates that as many as 33% of all new information technology jobs in America are being filled by guest workers. Further, according to the Census Bureau data, there are millions of Americans with advanced degrees in science, technology, engineering, and math who are not currently employed in those professions. So we have the education and the experience here, but these billionaires, they don't want to pay. To show you the next one. This is 3 pages. This is the second page. If there really is a shortage of skilled tech workers in America, why did Tesla lay off over 7,500 American workers this year, including many software developers and engineers at its factory in Austin, Texas, while being approved to employ thousands of H-1B guest workers? That's fucking crazy. Come on, man, what the fuck? Moreover, if these jobs are only going to the best and brightest, why has Tesla employed H-1B guest workers as associate accountants for as little as $58,000, associate mechanical engineers for as little as $70,000 a year, and associate material planners for as little as $80,000 a year? Those don't sound like highly specialized jobs that are for the top 0.1%, as Musk claims. If this program really is supposed to be about importing workers with highly advanced degrees in science and technology, why are SB1 guest workers being employed as dog trainers, massage therapists, cooks, and English teachers? Can we really not find English teachers in America? Let's be clear. To the extent that there may be labor shortages in our country in some highly specialized areas that need to be filled by employees from abroad. Sorry, my brain went crazy there. Through the H-1B program. We must utilize this program as a very short-term and temporary approach, and I agree with that. It should be sensible. In the long term, if the United States is going to be able to compete in the global economy, which we live in a mixed economy. Right now, we function over a capitalistic system, and if we're going to compete, like Bernie Sanders is saying, we have to compete in this global market. Where's my spot? If we're going to be able to compete in this global economy, we must be sure that we have the best educated workforce in the world. And one way to help make that happen is to substantially increase the guest worker fees large corporations pay to fund scholarships, apprenticeships, and job training opportunities for American workers. So he's talking about putting that money back or redirecting it back to Americans, which this is America first, right? So this is something that Bernie Sanders says that he's always advocated from his first days as a U.S. Senator. Say what you want about Bernie Sanders. You call him a communist, a socialist, whatever you want to call him. He's been consistent. Bottom line, it should never be cheaper for a corporation to hire guest workers from overseas than an American worker. What is Bernie Sanders, a Republican now? This is crazy. This last page. Finish reading it. Mr. Musk, Mr. Ramaswamy, and others that have argued that we need a highly skilled, well-educated workforce. They're right, but the answer, however, is not to bring cheap labor from abroad. The answer is to hire qualified American workers first and to make certain that we have an educated system that produces the kind of workforce that our country needs for the jobs of the future. And that's not just in engineering, which also very true. We are in desperate need of more doctors, nurses, dentists, teachers, electricians, plumbers, and a host of other professions. We need to start focusing on ourselves and improving ourselves and investing in ourselves. 30 years ago, the economic elite and political establishment in both major parties told us not to worry about the loss of blue-collar manufacturing jobs that would come as a result of disastrous, unfettered free trade agreements like NAFTA. And then he goes on about NAFTA, and you can have your opinions on NAFTA and the geopolitical economics and all that shit if you want. But right here, he says that turned out to be a lie. Not only have corporations exported millions of blue-collar manufacturing jobs to China, Mexico, and other low-wage countries, they are now importing hundreds of thousands of low-paid guest workers from abroad to fill the white-collar technology jobs that are available. At a time of massive income and wealth inequality, and that is a real thing, look up the numbers. You don't have to believe me, you go look it up. At a time of massive income and wealth equality, when the richest 3 people in America now own more wealth than the bottom half of our country, and when the CEOs of major corporations make almost 300 times more than their average workers, we need fundamental changes in our economic policies. We need an economy that works for all, not just a few. And one important way forward in moving in that direction is to bring about reform in the H-1B programs. And I I agree for the most part with Bernie Sanders. Now, um, as far as like the actual um, policies that are gonna go into play to fix that, I am open to hear people's opinions on that. Um, but I think Bernie Sanders for the most part is right, and I think Steve Bannon for the most part is fucking right, which is fucking crazy. And since we were talking about Vivek Ramaswamy, um, I like to dig and like read up on certain individuals, and Vivek Ramaswamy, for some reason, he was kind of intriguing to me. I hold some libertarian views, and I have for a while. I no longer really associate with libertarians anymore. I think I think that party has I think they've evolved into something else that I don't want to really be associated with. Um, but Vivek Ramaswamy was a pretty strong libertarian thinker, um, and he said something here, and let me get the date. He said something here. I think it was June of this summer. It has a lot to do with this, and it's crazy that I found it. So I'm just gonna end this video um, with Vivek. So here we go.
If I may, if I may just finish this, if I may finish my point,
deal with
Dasha.
racism.
I think I will be
but
better
you're
positioned.
denying that racism is a
I've
problem.
never denied that racism is a problem. If you listen to the response I gave to that black pastor, my whole point is racism has been a major problem for most of our national history. But we're getting close to the promised land that Martin Luther King envisioned. We're as darn close to it as we ever have been. And so what bothers the heck out of me is it's right when we're close to that promised land. Martin Luther King said it, I may not get there with you, and he didn't get there with us. But I think it desecrates the legacy of our civil rights movement, desecrates the legacy of Martin Luther King, that right when we get closest to the point of having racial equality and gender equality and even opportunities for people of minorities of many types, are we perfect? No, but are we as close as we've ever been? Yes, we have. To then obsess over systemic racism, to then obsess over white guilt and otherwise, we're creating new waves of racism, Dasha, that we otherwise would have avoided right when we're closest to having achieved what even the proponents of the civil rights movement would have dreamed of.
Yeah, that's crazy. So that was this summer. That was this summer. He said that, and I. So racism is kind of weird with me. I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I am of Mexican American descent, and I have experienced racism my entire life, probably all over the world. And I've probably experienced the most racism in my hometown. That being said, I don't try to use race as, I don't see it as an obstacle for me. I know some people don't like that way of thinking because racism does exist, and there is some systematic. I guess there is systematic racism. That still needs to be worked out, and I don't think that that fight is over, and I think it's still long from over. But I don't think that every single problem that we have is a race issue. Like this one right here is a perfect example. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think Bernie Sanders is racist. I would probably say that Steve Bannon is probably racist. I would probably say like 99.5% would say that he has some racist tendencies. But yeah, I think this just helps confirm that we need to stop, I guess, towing the line for these parties. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I do have some, I guess, some socialistic views. But for the most part, I believe that I operate under a capitalistic system, and I think that's fine. I think there's nothing wrong with that at all, especially when it comes to helping people and not taking advantage of people, like what this H-1B, what Elon Musk is trying to do, I don't think it helps Americans out at all. But I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm running out of shit to say. So happy Friday. Um, Prayers and everything for whatever the heck is going on with these. I don't even want to call them terrorist attacks anymore, because usually if it's somebody like ISIS or a terrorist group, they like to take accountability and they like to claim it. And as far as I know, I haven't seen anybody take responsibility. So I think there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered. I would say just stay tuned on that one, because that one's gonna get fucking crazy. But y'all have fun this weekend. If you're in San Antonio, first Friday of the year, be safe. If I see you out there, tell me what's up. This Sunday, if you know where the Echo Bridge is, behind Tandem, go check out Los Guanos around, I think it's at 420. Los Guanos at 420 at the Echo Bridge behind Tandem. Again, thanks, Lou Dog Macias. I think we got it going, man. I think we got it figured out. All right. I think that's it. I'll see you.